joining the Untold Story with Scott Knuckles. We hope this message will drive you to greater faith, a more lasting hope, and a deeper love for others and yourself. Thomas Edison said, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." Let's get started with today's podcast.
Welcome to this episode titled, What is Love? If this message moves you, would you take a moment to like, share, or send it to someone who might be blessed by it? You never know who might need to hear a reminder of what real love looks like. Hollywood has a way of painting love as something larger than life. Grand gestures in the rain, soulmates locking eyes across a crowded room, and a fiery passion that never fades. These stories make us feel like love should be effortless and magical, where we connect with the right person and everything falls perfectly into place. They leave us longing for that same kind of relationship, the kind where conflicts are neatly resolved and love always wins in the end. But real life doesn't follow a script, and that version of love can sometimes leave us feeling like what we have isn't enough. I was out recently and heard an old familiar song, What is Love? Baby Don't Hurt Me. It's a catchy tune released by Hathaway in 1993. It's a song you can't help but hum along to. But have you ever paused to really ask yourself, what is love? Is it butterflies and passion? Is it comfort and loyalty? Or could it be something deeper, maybe even messier than we give it credit for? Elizabeth Barrett Browning wrote Sonnet 43 in 1850, expressing what love is. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight for the ends of being in ideal grace. I love thee to the level of everyday's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. Imagine this, a quiet street in a small town, the kind where the houses are close enough to whisper secrets. There's a woman sitting by her kitchen window every night. She's in her 40s, a mom of 2, married to a man who's steady, reliable, but the spark's been gone for a while. Life's good, but predictable. Dishes, laundry, the same old routine. One evening, she looks out her window and notices the neighbors. A young couple, electric and vibrant. They're dancing in their living room, laughing, not caring who's watching. No curtains, no hiding, just lost in each other. She can't look away. Night after night, she times her coffee refills to catch a glimpse. Her heart tugs with a mix of envy and longing. Her husband's right beside her, flipping through his phone, oblivious. She doesn't say it, but she wonders, is that love? Is that what I'm missing? What she doesn't know yet is that the answer isn't out there in the glow of someone else's living room. It's waiting for her, right where she stands. The dictionary defines love as a noun, a strong feeling of affection, an intense emotional bond, or even enthusiasm for something, like I love coffee. It's a verb to feel or to express devotion or to take joy in something. It's a pretty broad take, isn't it? No wonder we're all chasing after different versions of it. But the Bible paints the most vivid definition of love of all. It's a challenging picture Let's dive into 1 Corinthians chapter 13, often called the love chapter. The Message version puts it like this: If I speak with human eloquence and angelic ecstasy but don't love, I'm nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate. If I speak God's word with power, revealing all his mysteries and making everything plain as day, and if I have faith that says to a mountain, jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I'm nothing. If I give everything I own to the poor and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't have love, I've got nothing. I've gotten nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self, doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others, isn't always me first, doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't reveal when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of truth, puts up with anything, trusts God always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. To love extravagantly means to love without holding back, to give of yourself fully without counting the cost or expecting anything in return. It's a bold, selfless, and abundant kind of love that goes beyond what's easy or convenient. It's not about having someone who makes you feel good. It's about being someone who loves, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Let's talk about a different kind of love, one that wasn't romantic but was just as powerful and sacrificial. David, the shepherd boy who turned giant slayer, was rising in fame. He'd killed Goliath, won battles, and won the people's hearts. But King Saul, Israel's first king, wasn't having it. He saw David as a threat to his throne, and jealousy started eating him alive. Saul's son, Jonathan, was the rightful heir to the throne. He had every reason to hate David, to see him as a rival. But that's not what happened. 1 Samuel 18:1 tells us, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Jonathan wasn't just a friend. He was a brother in spirit. He recognized something in David, a man after God's own heart. And instead of clinging to his birthright, Jonathan willingly stepped aside. He made a covenant with David, a sacred, binding promise of loyalty, and even gave him his royal robe, armor, sword, bow, and belt. Think about that for a second. Jonathan didn't just give David a gift. He symbolically handed over his right to the throne. He said, in essence, I see what God is doing, and I choose his plan over my own. But the story doesn't stop there. Saul's jealousy grew into full-blown hatred. He tried to kill David multiple times. Jonathan was stuck in the middle, torn between his father and his best friend. Yet he chose to protect David. In 1 Samuel 20, Jonathan warns David of Saul's plans. They meet in secret, and Jonathan helps David escape. When they part, they weep together. Jonathan says to David, Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever. Jonathan's love for David wasn't about personal gain. It wasn't about how David made him feel. It was selfless, a love that gave and protected, even at great personal cost. Jonathan died in battle alongside his father. He never lived to see David become king, but David never forgot him. When he took the throne, David searched for any surviving relatives of Jonathan, not to wipe out Saul's lineage like most kings usually did, but to honor his friend's memory. He found Jonathan's son, a crippled man living in hiding. David brought him to the palace and restored his family's land and let him eat at the king's table for the rest of his life. That's what love looks like. Loyalty that transcends ambition, sacrifice that cost everything, and a promise that lasts beyond death. We've looked at love through human examples like Jonathan and David, but sometimes the clearest picture of love isn't found in our relationship with one another. It's found in God's relationship with us. One of the most powerful, gut-wrenching stories of love in the Bible is found in the book of Hosea. See, God gives Hosea, a prophet, an unthinkable command. Marry Gomer, a woman who will be unfaithful to him. She's a prostitute, a living symbol of Israel's betrayal of God. Imagine what that must have felt like for Hosea. He wasn't just called to speak God's message. He was called to live it, to embody a love that wasn't just unconditional, but humiliating, heart-wrenching, and sacrificial. Hosea loves Gomer. He marries her. They have children together, and for a time it seems like they're building a life. But Gomer doesn't stay. She leaves him, not for a better life, but for the broken, destructive one she came from. She returns to other lovers, abandoning Hosea and her family. Can you picture this? Hosea coming home to find her gone. Again, the grief, the anger, the humiliation, the temptation to stop loving someone who keeps choosing the very things that are destroying her. By human standards, Hosea would have every right to give up, to walk away and never look back. But God gives him another command. Go, show your love to your wife again, though she is loved by another and is an adulteress. Love her as the Lord loves the Israelites, though they turn to other gods. Hosea doesn't just go after her. He buys her back. She isn't just living with another man. She's fallen so low that she's being sold. Hosea pays the price to redeem his own wife and brings her home. This isn't just about restoring a broken marriage. It's a living, breathing picture of God's relentless, unwavering love for us. A love that doesn't stop pursuing us even when we run. It's the same love God speaks over his people in Jeremiah 31:3. I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. God could have walked away from Israel. He could walk away from us, but he doesn't. He chases after us, not because we deserve it, because that's who he is. That's the nature of God. Paul connects this to Christ's love for the church. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. Christ's love wasn't a grand romantic gesture. It was a sacrifice. He didn't wait for us to clean up our mess. He died for us while we were still sinners. And even when we stray over and over, he's still there. He's the shepherd who leaves the 99 to go after the one who's lost. Suppose one of you who has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. This is the love God has for us, even when we've wandered off, even when we've been unfaithful, even when we're a mess. And it's the love he calls us to show others. God is love. He is calling us to love others the way he loves us. Not a love that waits for the other person to deserve it. Not a love that keeps score, but a love that pursues, sacrifices, and forgives, even when it hurts. Why? Because God is love, not just in what he does, but in who he is. 1 John 4:8 says, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. And that kind of love, a love that pursues, redeems, and restores, changes everything. So what is love? Maybe it's not just what we see in the movies or what we want from others. Maybe it's a love that says, I'll stay, I'll fight for you, I'll forgive you, I'll sacrifice, I'll pursue you, no matter how far you run. That's the kind of love God shows us, and it's the kind of love we're called to reflect in our relationships. Let's circle back to Sarah, sitting quietly at her window, watching the life across the street. One evening, the music she had become so familiar with from the couple's house suddenly stops. The lights fade, and then Sarah notices the woman across the street, sitting alone on the porch. No dancing, no laughter, just stillness. Sarah's heart sinks. The woman's face is pale, and her hands are folded in her lap as if the weight of the world is pressing on her. Instinctively, Sarah steps outside and walks next door to the porch. The door is slightly ajar, and she gently knocks. The woman answers, her red eyes and tired face telling Sarah everything she needs to know. They sit together on the porch, the cool evening air between them, and the truth spills out like a slow, sorrowful confession. My husband's dying, the woman says, her voice shaking. Cancer. We've been trying to make the most of what little time we have left, pretending everything is okay, celebrating every moment like it's our last, because we know the end is coming soon. She pauses, trying to hold back tears. The dancing, the music, it was our way of making every second count. Sarah's heart aches as the weight of her words settle in. She realizes that the joy she had been seeing wasn't about a perfect life. It was about cherishing every moment, knowing how fragile time is. As Sarah walks back to her house, the reality of it all sinks deeper within her. She steps into her own kitchen, dishes in the sink, bills on the counter. Her husband is asleep on the couch, the TV flickering softly. She quietly sits beside him, and as she strokes his hair, he stirs, looking up at her. Their eyes meet, and in that moment, something shifts. She whispers softly, I love you. Thank you for being so faithful to the kids and me. You work so hard and give so much. It's easy to overlook. He looks at her, a bit surprised by her words, wondering where they came from. After a moment, he smiles gently and replies, You're welcome, honey. That's what men do for the family they love. For the first time in a long time, Sarah really sees him, not just as the man she shares a home with, but as the one who has stood by her through it all, through the ordinary, the difficult, and the imperfect. She realizes that the love she had been searching for, the grand gestures, the excitement, the perfect moments, wasn't out that window. It was right here, in the quiet, unwavering presence of the man beside her. True love isn't about waiting for the perfect moment or the grand gestures. It's about living in the moments we have, together, no matter how messy or uncertain they might be. And as she watches her husband, this verse pierces her heart. I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. So what is love? Maybe it's not what you thought. Maybe it's not about finding the perfect moment or the perfect person. Maybe love is about seeing what's right in front of you, even when it's not perfect. It's about showing up, about staying, about forgiving when it's hard, about continuing to love someone even when they let you down. And most importantly, maybe love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice. It's a covenant, a sacred promise. Think of Sarah standing by the window, longing for something more, searching for love in someone else's story. The love she needed was already sitting in the next room, quiet, steady, and faithful. Her husband, the man who'd stood by her through the ordinary and the difficult. A love that had weathered the years. It wasn't loud, but it was unwavering. And though she had missed it, it had never left her. It had always been there, waiting to be seen. Look at Jonathan, the rightful heir to the throne, who laid it all down for his friend David. He stood on the side of what was right, even at the expense of his own legacy and his father's approval. That's covenant love, a sacred promise. Or think of Hosea, whose wife Gomer ran away. But Hosea didn't quit. He pursued her, bought her back, and loved her still. His love wasn't painless. It was costly, but it was also redemptive. And then there's Jesus. The Father willingly gave him up for us. Jesus disrobed himself of royalty to come to earth in humility and love. He who knew no shame bore our sin and sorrow. The Bible says he literally emptied himself, laying down his status and glory. That's sacrificial love, a love that laid down a crown for a cross, a love that ran toward us while we were still running away, a love that never stops choosing us, even when we fail to choose him. Just like Sarah staring out the window. Maybe we've all looked at the world and everything it promises, thinking we're missing something. But the truth, what brings true satisfaction isn't out there. It's already within reach. It's in the love of Jesus, planted deep within our hearts. His love is relentless, unconditional, and immeasurable. This is extravagant love. I wrote a poem for this podcast. How do I love you? Let me trace the lines, not in grand words, but in life's smaller signs. I love you in the silence where comfort takes hold, in the warmth of your hand when the nights grow cold. I love you in burdens too heavy to bear, in the prayers I've whispered, the unspoken care. I love you in laughter, in sorrow, in grace, in every broken, beautiful place. I love you with a fierceness that time won't erase, with a heart that still races when I see your face. I love you with faith when feelings run dry, when loving is a choice, not the butterflies. I love you with scars, with the strength pain refines, a love that keeps building beyond the confines. And when this life ends, if God wills it so, I'll love you more deeply than this world could know. We've talked about 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the love chapter, but I've intentionally saved the most important part for last, verses 11 through 13. When I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child. But when I grew up, I put away childish things. Now we see things imperfectly, like puzzling reflections in a mirror. But then we will see everything with perfect clarity. All that I know now is partial and incomplete, but then I will know everything completely, just as God knows me completely. 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. It's true. Paul is reminding us that everything else is second compared to love. Love endures forever. And here's the kind of love he's talking about, that it's patient and kind. It's not jealous or boastful or proud, or rude even. It does not demand its own way. It's not irritable. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. Love isn't just a feeling. It's an action word, and it should season every decision we make and everything we do. Let that kind of love guide you. Live it, share it, and be shaped by it. God bless you. I hope you've enjoyed listening to today's podcast. Would you take a moment and provide a rating, subscribe, and consider sharing this message of encouragement with others? You can also visit us on scottnuckles.com to get more information. Until next time, blessings.